What's up guys, welcome to my channel The Chem Club, where I generally discuss about topics related to chemistry and that can be from within or outside the syllabuses for classes 9 to 12. So for today, guess what? I'm going to discuss about the topic quantum mechanical model, and it sounds familiar, isn't it? So atom went through various type of models until and unless it reached this particular model which is most accepted today. Okay, now what is this quantum mechanical model and why is it named so? But for knowing that, you have to watch this video till the end, otherwise your surprise will come to an end. Wait, surprise? Yes, it is a shock. It will really be a shocking surprise to you when you get to know that the model of an atom, the structure of an atom went on various changes, various evolutions within a century, and it's still on for today. Okay, and I probably discussed about all these atomic structures, the evolutions, in my previous video about the atomic structure. So you thought that atoms consist of electrons which revolve around the nucleus like the planets do. You're not fool, but you couldn't imagine further that electron can also go beyond its position from suppose here to there. It can also go up and down this screen. In this way, it was proved that atom is three-dimensional and not two-dimensional. Obviously, because the electrons can reside simply anywhere in the space around the atom, around the nucleus of an atom. But just to prove this concept, several discoveries and theories were taken under consideration, which we are going to discuss next. Bohr atomic model consisted of imaginary energy levels which have a fixed amount of energy to hold a definite number of electrons. So these electrons have a certain amount of energy within them, which on absorbing a certain amount of energy to literally jump to another energy level. But for that, it has to absorb a certain amount of energy, more or less than which it will show no response. For example, if an electromagnetic wave of a certain wavelength is passed to the atom, electrons will absorb it but will not reach a new shell until it gets that exact amount which is required for it jumping from its own orbit to the other or the high energy level. That means it has to cover the gap between the two energy levels. So from this we can conclude that energies are considered as discrete packets called quanta. Both thought of determining this energy of every energy level, but sadly it was based on atomic model which is similar to hydrogen atom, and not for the other atoms of higher atomic number. So this model, which was the only valid model for childhood, also came to the end. Actually, I think that nothing in nature can be proved fully true by the humans, but all the discoveries have some or the other truth behind it, and we can still follow all those rules from certain aspects. Okay. You have to be quite philosophical to imagine what can nature consist of. Now that it's proved that a wave can show a particle-like behavior and that wave carries energy, then why not the reverse be true then? But if it's true, why can't we notice any type of wave-like behavior of the object around us? Through the de Broglie's famous fusion of Einstein's and Planck's equation, it turned out that only very tiny objects as that of electrons can show such wave-like properties exhibited as standing wave. Now the question comes in our mind that what is standing wave actually? If we consider an atom as a sphere or circular object, then in a standing wave, when the circumference of the circle does not allow an integer number of wavelength, it becomes a destructive wave and it leads to the cancellation of that wave. But you can't see such things in a C wave as it is not located in a fixed position. That means they show some sort of translational motion. That means it either move forward or backward, anything. So Schrödinger formulated a model of atom that assumed electrons to be matter waves and laid his formula, solving which we can get multiple psi values as solutions. Psi values you can see in the screen only, each with allowed values of energy. But as psi values at x, y, z positions generally give imaginary value, imaginary means we expect to know about the complex numbers. Okay, so as the values of psi is coming in imaginary values, that's why psi square was more convenient, and it is called probability density. And by this it meant that the possibility of having an electron in that region is 90%. So one thing is clear, that electron resides in space of an atom at a probable position called orbitals. If we observe the orbital, we will see certain deeply colored region, as suppose 1s, 2s and 3s region, which is demarcated by a light region which are called nodes, with 0% of the electron residing there. That means the chance of getting electron at that position is nil, minimum. Again, let's plot a graph of probability density versus radius of the atom, and we can see that probability of finding an electron gets farther from the nucleus increases as well. But one thing should come in our mind, that we know that electron can be excited by applying energy, and when it comes back to its normal position again, it emits excess energy, but in discrete packets. If we record a spectra for this, we will find distinct fine lines which can give an idea of where that electron can possibly reside in an atom. That's why this model is called quantum mechanical model, and I think your question is answered. Okay. In this way, we firstly get the principal quantum number k, l, m, n and so on. If we further observe the spectra between this, suppose we are considering k and l, then between this more discrete lines can be observed indicated as s, p, d and f orbitals. But for p, d and f orbital, the angular momentum of the electron is to be determined for getting the probability density of those orbitals. You will be surprised to know that this led to the more interesting orbital shapes as follows. P orbital, say it is dumbbell shaped, okay, and it has different orientations according to in which axis they are kept. Okay, suppose in x axis it is giving a different type of orientation, in y, z all are different from each other. Okay, in similar way we can also get d orbital to be of double dumbbell shape. Only one of them, from this we can get 5 types of orientations for d orbital. Okay, 5 possible orientations for d orbital, but only one particular structure is there for d orbital, which can show a donut shape around a dumbbell. And in case of f, now f is too much diffusive and it can't be depicted in the paper, okay, because it is a very big 3-dimensional structure, very complicated 3-dimensional structure, I think. The electrons are considered degenerate, having the same energy in the same orbital. But if it is exposed to some electrical and magnetic field, then the electrons show some final lines which are indicated by magnetic quantum number. They are depicted as given on the screen. But we are still left with one more thing. Just as a bar magnet can have a range of orientations relative to the external magnetic field, it is expected to see atoms deflected to give a spread out distribution of direction. But it came out to be simply between the north and the south pole. From this, spin quantum number came into light. And in this case, the electrons within a particular orbital can reside with each other at 2 possible directions, up and down. Now we are presented with all kinds of the possible quantum numbers as follows. Principal quantum number, and this principal quantum number is basically the Bohr atomic, basically there in the Bohr atomic model as K, L, M, N, and so on shells. Okay. Now comes the azimuthal quantum number, and it has a formula to determine the position in which the electrons can reside. Then comes the magnetic quantum number. Magnetic quantum number have three kinds of values: 0, -1 means plus value and minus value. Okay. Now spin quantum number. Spin quantum number can have only two sorts of values, two types of values, as it can show up spin and down spin. Now one thing is there to say regarding the electron spin is that a maximum of 2 electrons can occupy any given orbital and must have opposite spin to minimize the repulsion, because they are residing within the same orbital, and as they have the same electric charge, so they basically have to minimize their charges, okay, so that they can minimize their repulsion. This is also called Pauli's exclusion principle. But what is the actual purpose of all these quantum numbers and all? To find me out, you have to know my address carefully. Suppose you have to know the country name, state, city, and ultimately the house number. But I can be anywhere in my house because I'm a moving object, and obviously where getting me has maximum probability, at least during this lockdown, okay. And similarly, electrons, as it is a moving object, it can also reside in a particular home or a particular house, but it is not possible for us to just see from the outside and tell at a point of time where it can reside, just like me. But so basically, like, this quantum numbers indicate the address of an electron, the state of an electron, okay. But why do we need to take all these efforts to know its position? We have known previously that electron is responsible for a chemical bonding, so all these orbital concepts can give an idea of how can a bond become possible. Above that, it can also determine the properties of an element if we know its proper electronic configuration, and thus to have a clear idea of periodic properties, which dictates all the behaviors of an element. So just to clear our idea, take an example of, say, oxygen. See its electronic configuration and compare with that of any example. Take copper, which is a transitional element. Okay, so in Bohr atomic model, it was not possible to determine the exact electronic configuration of all these transitional elements. Okay, but if we put forward this model, then all these structure, all these configurations are possible to depict, okay, and that's why it is the most accepted model till today. So that's all for today. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. If you have any doubts regarding this particular chapter, then you can ask me, you can freely ask me in the comment section, and also you can approach me personally in the socials which are given in the description, and some links are there as usual. From where I literally have referred this particular topic. You can refer that particular website so that you can get more information on this particular chapter, as because I didn't feel like putting all the things together in this video, so as because it is too much, it will be too much hectic for you to grasp all things, okay. And make sure to subscribe the channel and also tap on the bell icon so that you can get the updates of what I am posting. And as usual, thanks for watching.